So bad.
Flipped the script on him. He tried to fight it a little bit.
Actually, I told you no, but
See how that worked.
But like you said, man, when you were talking to me, we've been around each other a long time, man, and done a lot of growing and developing together. And man, seeing you at Super 32 and seeing you now, it's different. Man, it just looks different. This is the guy I know. This is the guy that got me some amazing places in my life, man. Let's talk about that journey you've been on and what's been going through your head the last few months with Fretwell.
A lot of different things, a lot of personal things, a lot of business things, a lot of coaching things, and things sometimes happen, and you feel like the sky's falling. And when you take a step back and look at a 10,000 foot view, you try to find the silver lining in it. You want to ask why, and you want to try to figure out how to fix it immediately. And sometimes things don't need to be fixed. Sometimes things need to be adjusted, maybe, or massaged in a different area. And sometimes it's time to close the chapter on stuff. And there was some things in coaching and business that was just stretching me a little thin. And like I was talking to Coach Miller about earlier, it's like, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be average at a bunch of things, or do I want to focus on a couple things that are important and be really, really, really good at them? And I felt like I was doing a disservice to the people around me by spreading myself too thin and giving them an average product across the board, and had to make some changes. But I had quite a few people in my ear helping me with that perspective, and you were there in the middle of it. At the time when we get punched in the gut, we want to act like the sky's falling. But again, it gave me perspective on how I needed to scale back. I would have much rather it happened in a different way, but it was a blessing in disguise in the end, because I needed to scale back on what I was doing in my focus and how I need to go about doing it, and being a little bit more efficient as a human being, as a business owner, and as a coach. And the kids that are coming into the room expect 120% of my passion and my effort, and they weren't getting that. So I had to make some adjustments. It wasn't easy, because I think a lot of times as coaches and as mentors, we feel like we can handle it all. We feel like we can do it all, and we'll find a way. And sometimes finding a way is just, like I said, closing a chapter in the book and figuring out how you're going to maintain the stuff that's right in front of you. So there's been a weight lifted. There's been a lot of problem solving going on, but the last month of 2020 has been something that's, things are starting to fall in place. Some things we've been waiting on for a while to fall into place, whether it's, wrestling related or business related. And it's going to be good. It's going to be a good decade for the Compound brand, for the people in my network, and the people that hold dear to me. And I'm excited about getting back to work. I feel like I haven't been working for a while. I feel like I've been floundering and searching, and I feel like I got some roots in something now, and I'm excited. I really am.
Let's dig into that work thing a bit, man, because I've always been amazed by your work ethic. There aren't many people out there that I'll admit can outwork me, but you can. And so what do you mean by getting back to work? Because I know the hours you've been putting in and what you've put into creating this thing from literally nothing, man. So what do you, go a little bit deeper into what you mean by getting back to work, because I know the hours and the actual time you've put in haven't changed a whole lot since day one.
I say I, and me and you were on that train a long time ago about talking to our guys about purposeful work and having purpose behind what you do. And I think the last year or two I haven't been going through the motions, but I haven't been maximizing what I'm good at and what makes me tick and what gets me out of bed in the mornings. I've just been getting out of bed and doing it at a semi-high level, but I'm not doing it with my soul. And there wasn't a lot of purpose behind it. And life was just too busy for me, and I just had too much white noise, too many distractions, and had my iron in too many fires. And what I mean by getting back to work is having purpose behind everything I'm doing right now, having purpose behind being with my grandkids, with being at practice and growing our company, and getting up here. And even though this is a fun trip, man, I'm learning. I'm watching you, I'm watching Doug, I'm watching these kids interact with their coaches and how they train and stuff, and I'm going to take that back home to my room. And we're going to go to the Dan Gable Museum tomorrow, in which watch John Smith sign the wall and be around greatness. And the more I put myself around greatness and people that have done things at a high level, the more I can take that back to what I'm doing, what me and you started out to do with this crazy wrestling thing in the beginning, and just continue to impact and put our soul into what we're doing. And that's just talking to Teskey about it. He's talking about getting back to who he is, and just how much of y'all's soul y'all put into this program, and that makes people different. That makes people different human beings, and I owe that to my employees. I owe that to my athletes. I owe that to my family, and that's something that once I took a little bit of that white noise and that distraction out, or spread too thin, that I'm able to focus again, and I'm able to put purpose behind every second of what I'm doing right now. And it's exciting to me because I haven't been very efficient, and that was tough for me to look at myself in the mirror, hear it from people like you or my wife, and just be, hey, you're all over the place, and be that way for not only a year, but maybe even longer, and they get back to it and be excited about what's ahead. Man, that's where you kind of have that epiphany. I'm 43. I have an epiphany now, man. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm excited about it, man.
I think you quit having those epiphanies is about when it's time to hang up your boots and call life a wrap, right? We ain't got much figured out.
Nope.
So, man, I know you on a really intimate level. We spent a lot of hours together, countless, before you can even imagine. So I've always had trouble explaining you to a lot of people. As you're sitting here talking, like, I get it, you're addicted to energy. Like, our addictions are what makes us, and our addictions are what makes us fall apart too. Like, mine's wrestling. And I've lived both sides of it. It's been a blessing to me, and it's been a curse. So it sounds like you've kind of figured out that. You talk about how full your plate was with stuff, because you'll take it on. That's just the kind of guy you are, no matter what it is. One of the most selfless people I know. So knowing that about yourself and learning what you know, what do you put in your life to make sure you don't end up back in that place again? Because I know you, and I know what you're going to do, and the grind's going to start back with purpose. Yeah. Purpose turns into excitement. Excitement turns into energy. Energy turns into something really dang cool. What that is, we don't know what it's going to be, right?
And then we end up obsessed a little bit.
And then you circle back to the same spot 10 years from now. So I'm asking this for me, because I've been in that similar cycle since I started putting wrestling shoes on, man.
I mean, having things, environment, and people that keep you grounded. And me and you've had some of the same mentors, and we've gone on to have others in our life. Like I was talking to Coach Miller earlier, man. Like I love that guy's energy. I need to get around him more. I need to get to know him better. He's a guy that could give me amazing perspective in my life, and I haven't. When my nose was down to the grindstone and we were just ripping and running, and I didn't lose my way, but just got inefficient with my life and how I was living. It was because I wasn't calling on those resources, and I wasn't looking for that perspective, and I wasn't trying to stay, not necessarily grounded, but just stay efficient and stay well-rounded as a human being first. And then the rest of that will just kind of play itself out in the way I coach, and the way I run my company and treat my employees, and handle my marriage and raise my kids and grandkids and things like that. And it's a constant job to keep that perspective in your life. And we coach our kids and we teach them all these values, and a lot of the stuff, like, I'll post a quote or something and people are like, man, I need to hear that today. And I'll be like, I posted it because I needed to hear it, and just having those things in your life. I mean, me and you text each other more than people would care to know about, hey, I'm thinking this, talk to me, give me some perspective on it. And I just got to continue to do that. And I got to continue to call on those people and know that they're there for me, just like I'm there for a lot of people that are in my life. And that's something that I've got to stay consistent with. And I can't let being too busy, chasing too many dreams, helping too many other people chase dreams, that I don't keep that at my core and keep that perspective. And I've experienced what happens when you get away from that perspective. It's a constant. It's a constant. It's just like with wrestling or anything. You got to keep that consistency in your life. So that's something that I struggle with, because I just want to go. I want to go 24 hours a day, and I feel like if I go 23 hours a day, somebody's going to pass me, somebody's going to catch me, and that's just as fruitful as it is dangerous. I've got to keep that balance. Balance is tough. Balance is tough for me. But yeah, I have some amazing people in my life. John Nicolella, Charles Pike, my parents. Then I got some amazing people now with Jeff Levitets and Shane Chittum, and some of these guys that are in my life that they don't always tell me what I want to hear. And I can call them, and I know that, but I know I'm gonna get off the phone with them, and I'm gonna have a new perspective, and it's up to me whether I make that change or make that adjustment and keep moving.
Now, one thing to finish up, I want to see if we've had so many similar experiences since we parted ways about 5 years ago. It's funny, the growth pattern we've been on is real similar. So see if your experience mirrored mine. So for me with wrestling, I got to a new level, right? Not a higher level, just a new level, and I had more resources because of what happened at the compound. And because you get access to those resources, it almost makes it harder in a way to stay true to yourself, because the people you're around you really admire and you really learn from and have true value for what they're given. But I think sometimes I lost sight of who am I and how do I want to be this. So I just kind of developed a filter of all those things I was learning to make sure it passes through and it's also authentic to me. And as you're sitting here talking through this, man, it's kind of what is resonating with me. It's like, you got to get back to being Cliff Fretwell a little bit more. And remember what motivated, not from day one of the compound, it's way back in Stockbridge, Georgia when you were a little kid. What made you dream big? What made you start down this path? And man, I felt that too in wrestling. As you get more opportunities, sometimes it's hard to remember who you are and where you got started. Is that kind of what you're talking through here?
Yeah, I mean, it's just with guys that continue to want to do things at a high level, it's always what's next. And you know, a lot of time I remember Joe Flo was doing what did wrestling teach you, and he stopped me at Fargo and he was like, you know, Cliff, what did wrestling teach you? And I was like, it's okay to be obsessed with stuff. And you know, when I said it, it was just a general statement. And looking back on the last 2 years, like, no, it wasn't okay to be obsessed with stuff because I had no balance. But I think there is a time and place to just put your entire soul into something, and to chase, you know, just dream chase head on. But you know, and Teskey just said it. He said, you know, I needed to get back home and get back in tune with Brody Teskey. Not that I fell out of touch with who he was or had a bad experience. It's just that I need to get into the environment that maximizes who I am at my core. And I think that especially in this sport, we're such selfless individuals because we are spending our lives a lot of times away from our families, helping other people dream chase. And I think we get so caught up in that it's addictive. And if you've done it before, it is addictive. It's a drug. And you can't get enough of it, and you can't get enough of seeing kids break through and believe in themselves more from day to day. And then it just becomes this thing. It doesn't become your core, who you started. Or I'm coaching this because Joy and Rick Fretwell laid the foundation for me to be able to help people chase greatness. It just becomes well, man, I gotta get that kid a little bit further along the day, because that's the only thing that gets me going anymore, and not just, man, I'm in an unbelievable place in life to affect not one person, but 40 guys in the room every day and make them a different human being. And that goes back to perspective. That just goes back to appreciation of the role you have in life and the gifts you have to give to everybody else, and not just think they're these things. They're tools. They're evidence of all the little things people have put into you as a human being to get to this point, and you're disrespecting them by just making them a thing. It's not a thing. It's all this collective puzzle of things that people put into you as you've grown up as a human being that you're putting out into the world. And you got to value it. You got to hold it close to the vest, and you got to appreciate it. And you teach other people how to appreciate it. And I think as long as you do that, I think you got amazing balance, and you stay true north, and you don't lose sight of who you are in your heart, how you got to be who you are. And you know, we screw up, we just pick up pieces, get back to work, and own it. You know, but I think that's the biggest thing, and it's right where you're talking about it. We get so caught up in the chase of the dream that it just becomes this thing we do, and it becomes less of who we are and more of just what we do. And I think I just got to stay with that. And it's tricky. It's, like I said, it's a drug. It's just as addictive as alcohol or anything else. And you know, I just got to stay balanced, got to keep perspective, and got to appreciate, man. I appreciate so much the ability to fly up here on a Thursday. I didn't have to ask off work. I didn't have to put in PTO. I didn't have to do anything, because this is part of the life that I've worked my tail off to create for myself, and I can come up here and enjoy this time with you guys and watch what you guys are doing and appreciate it, and go back home with a new sense of freaking energy to go take over the world.
Always learn from you, Fred. Like, dream big, Maximize your experiences, learn and grow, and never grow out of your own skin, man. Writing that down as a reminder for myself.
Even dragon skin.
The dragon skin.